Watch Talk Heathen live Sundays at 1 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTH and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/callth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Truth Wanted. I'm your host, Objectively Dan. This is the live call-in show where we talk to you guys every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central Time. We talk to people about what they believe and why. And every single week, I have a guest joining me. This week is no different. It's Secular Rarity. Secular Rarity, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Dan. I am just excited, man. I really think we're gonna get some good evidence. Are you a betting man? I'll bet you $1 we're gonna get good evidence for ghosts.
$1 in American coins?
American coins.
Wow. Okay, sure. You want evidence for a ghost? I'll take it.
Let's do it.
Listen, wait. I have to bet against you, right? Isn't that how betting works?
Yeah.
I'm betting that we won't get evidence.
Right.
Okay, so you're betting that we are, and I'm betting that we won't. We both have $1 in the pot here. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Anyway, Secular Rarity, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And I already know people are going to ask. You should probably include the name origins in your bio here because I think it's interesting.
Yeah, you hyped it up, and I'm gonna be honest, it might be a bit of a letdown. I was just sitting around and I thought I needed a good name so that I could hang out with some cool people and at great channels like this and just appreciate everybody that puts on this stuff. So I created the name so that I could hang out, and next thing you know, here I am. So I'm super excited, man. I'm just some cool, silly dude that, like I said, hangs out here and other good call-in shows. I got to host on YFNA, Ethan Michael.
Yeah.
Great show, great guy, and I'm excited. Like I said, man, I want to win that $1. I want to win that $1, Dan.
All right, listen. And it doesn't have to be ghost evidence. I think we should account for some other ones. I'll do like $5 for like Bigfoot.
Oh, you're saying we're getting
no Bigfoot?
Are you
no
betting?
Bigfoot.
You're saying no Bigfoot evidence?
Yeah, $5.
Okay.
This is becoming a gambling. Listen. We need to do more of these kinds of things, or maybe some shots instead of. I don't know.
That's for the after show, everybody.
That's for the after show. I guess we'll figure that out. But yeah, we need to have some sort of like a betting like tier list here of like what we're willing to put on the line here for that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
I would be really interested in seeing that come up. Some people have suggested bingo cards before in the past. Ooh. Bingo cards would be cool, but I you know what? We should make some money off this stuff. Why not? So we were talking about this a little bit before the show. But I have a bit of a rant for you today, Secular Rarity. But before we get to that rant, actually, there is a topic I want to talk to you about. We were talking about if we had the choice to go to a conference, and it was between a flat Earth conference or a Bigfoot conference. You get one ticket, all expense paid trip. But you had to go the entire time. It's a full weekend event. Where would you go? Assuming they're the same size, right? 1,000-person conference in a major metropolitan area.
Cool.
Same place, same weekend. You can't go to both.
What
would you do?
You know, I really do think the flat Earth one is gonna be a bit more fun. And I mean, it might get a little bit crazy. It might. But you're going to have a story by the end of that, man. That's going to be something you can tell at every bar for the rest of your life, right?
The stories will be good. I would be afraid I would be offered drugs unsolicited.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think I would see, I think I would hear stories of people of having experiences that did not happen or maybe happened while they were on said drugs. I think there would be a lot of that. And I honestly think with flat Earth, there's just a lot more. I don't know. There's a lot more conspiracy minds for other kinds of stuff. So, like, I think there'd be a lot of anti-Semitic comments being made. I think there'd be a lot of other territories across there. I think Bigfoot. I've never been to a Bigfoot conference. I'll be wrong, but I feel like they're just there for the Bigfoot, man. They just want. Well, maybe that's not
what
true.
Presentations, what displays are they going to have at the Bigfoot conference? You know,
costumes. Maybe they have a costume contest. Who has the best? It's like when you cosplay for Comic-Con, except it's just Bigfoot. Maybe they have like Deer Man or Chupacabra, some other crypto cameos. But I think it's just Bigfoot. I don't know.
I like the thought of 1,000 people in Bigfoot costumes.
They're just all dressed as Bigfoot, just hanging out. They just really like the concept of Bigfoot. They don't even care if he's real or not.
Yeah, I mean, sounds good to me, man.
Anyway, that's because that sounds like a good time. I'd dress up as Bigfoot and drink some alcohol with other Bigfoot enthusiasts for an all expense paid trip any weekend. You name it.
Oh, if somebody's paying for it, I'll do it.
These are both. It's either flat Earth or Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Flat Earth or Bigfoot.
No, I'm gonna stick with flat Earth, man. I think it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be risky. You're right, but again, I think you'll come out with a good time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, this is Truth Wanted, where we talk about what people believe and why. Apparently, we are a call-in show, so folks, we have open lines right now. You should definitely call in if you've been thinking about it. Maybe give your response to which conference would be better, but also just your general conspiracy theories, religious theories, scientific theories. I'd be interested in that. Para-scientific theories, maybe. You know, we'll see. We'll get there. But I do want to talk about something with you, Secular Rarity. I had an experience today with an app called Randonautica. Have you heard of Randonautica?
I don't think so.
Sorry, it's Randonautica.
Randonautica.
Okay, so last year, Randonautica was like this big thing, and I kind of missed the trend. It was all over TikTok and all over these places because it's this app that supposedly takes a random number generator, a quantum random number generator from the Australian National University, and puts it into this app to give you random coordinates. And you're supposed to give your intentions to the app, like if you want to find money or blood or death or something, then and it's going to randomly generate coordinates for you so that you can like go find that thing. Okay, so the reason why this got super popular, it was already trending, but some teenagers in Oregon found some suitcases with dead bodies in them based on the coordinates that this app gave, and that kind of like made it real bigger, right? So I just got around to hearing about this whole story, but also just people using it at its peak. I don't know if it's that right now, but it had like 10 million users on the app, and it's all kind of bullshit. Like
it sounds bullshit.
It's not great. So like, okay, so they do like, as far as I can tell, they do use a quantum a number generator from quantum computation. I think that part's real.
Okay.
But like the other part of it is you're supposed to put your intentions into it. And they have like a whole book they sell about it on Amazon about, because like somehow your intentions, human intentions, affect, you know, the reality of which people find themselves in.
Sure.
And there's like lots of anecdotes of people like finding people who need to be hospitalized and like other crazy stuff by using this app. It's really, really weird. But it like, I think it all comes down to people misinterpreting like the double slit experiment and thinking like human consciousness is involved with like quantum physics and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I kind of feel like I'm no physicist, people. I can't tell you quantum this or that, but I feel like when you're 10 minutes into the conversation and then somebody goes, but quantum, and you can just stop listening. So here's why I bring it up though. I downloaded this app today because I want to try to use it, right? I want to be a good skeptic boy, and I want to see what happens when I interact with the world through my quantum brain and see, you know, what's going to come out from that. So I download this app, okay?
and it allows you to pick a range by which it can compute anomalies. Let me explain the anomalies part. So it has randomly generated coordinates, but anomalies are when there are more coordinates in a particular area that are generated than others based on standard deviation, right? So if you know statistics, you can calculate a z-score, and like these happen in one area more than what's supposed to be standard for a standard deviation there. I think I'm explaining that right. So that's what they call anomalies, okay? And they'll just give little pinpoints on a map. I went to the area that it generated in my area. It's in the middle of a highway. So I drove past that part of the highway, and nothing happened. Nothing anomalous happened. Now, granted, I don't know exactly what my intentions were supposed to be, but nothing fucking happened. So I generated another one, and it was over a body of water in my area nearby. And I was like, well, shit, I ain't going to go over the lake. I'm not going over there. So that's my experience with this app so far. Not a great start. Maybe if somebody wants to tell me how to properly use this thing, but I don't know. My intentions in putting into this thing, it must not be computing right. I don't know how it's happening. So anyway, really fun stuff.
Yeah, it does. I think you summed it up a little bit earlier and tell me if I'm misquoting, but I think you said it sounds like bullshit.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, I think.
Okay. But yeah, try harder, I guess, man. I mean, maybe you'll find a bunch of gold.
Well, so the worst thing about this app is it will give you so many credits a day to use to generate locations.
Can you buy more?
You can buy more. Of course you can buy more. Okay.
Can.
So I wouldn't care if this was like some, random free thing that somebody made. But like there's a lot of teenagers that are getting into this stuff and thinking that there's something meaningful coming out of these randomly generated coordinates. And I don't know. That sucks. I don't like it when people make money off of tricking people. That's just kind of not my thing. But I don't know. I don't make apps on the App Store, so maybe that's just the way the game is played. So anyway, no further comments or thoughts on quantum computing, Secular Rarity. I thought you were an expert. I thought this is why we got you.
Yes. Actually, I've been lecturing now for 28 years. I'm only 27, but because of quantum mechanics, I've actually been lecturing for 28.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Just don't think about it. But when you started talking about coordinates, and quantum random number generators, the first thought that came to my mind, and again, maybe it's just because I'm not intelligent on the subject, but I just feel like that's not a good way to get accurate coordinates. Am I wrong on that? Randomly generating.
Look, your intentions are manifesting in the quantum computer. I don't know how hard. I mean, this is so simple, right? Your thoughts. You're interacting with the machine,
right?
This is modern machine interaction theory,
right?
People talking about this.
So, do you think like the second time when it put you over a lake? Do you think you were like really thirsty, or like you just really wanted to swim? Maybe.
Oh shit!
And maybe that's the problem. You gotta find your true intentions, Dan.
Oh shit! That's what it is. My intentions are wrong.
Oh, shit. Do you have a crystal? Just hold. I hear if you in the
not on hand.
Yeah. That probably would have done it, man. Yeah.
This is like when you tell people to pray for something, and when you pray for it and it doesn't happen, it's like, oh, you didn't pray right, or your intentions for prayer weren't right.
Yeah.
That's the exact same logic, I think. Is
you should have tried harder to convince the Almighty Creator to fix whatever you wanted. Like, can't help the people dying in other countries, but can make sure that you find that flower you were looking for. I don't know why you look for a flower.
I don't know. But there's lots of these videos on YouTube of people going on their Randonautica adventures and stuff. And a lot of it is just, I don't know.
What have they found?
Well, I was watching a video. I used blood earlier because they went to this first location and it was just in front of somebody's house. So that didn't, be anything, but their intention was still blood. So they went to another location and they found somebody apparently in some sort of accident and getting onto a stretcher. Well, it didn't. It was at somebody's house, so it was like a car accident. So they were like, "Oh shoot, this is like evidence of, this app messing with reality based on your intentions and stuff." Even though, like, I don't know, it could be so ambiguous.
It seems like I mean, I don't know. I've lived around houses for a while now, and I have to say, in the entire time that I've been around houses, there has been blood. Just from random accidents,
just kind of there.
Yeah, like it's not like it might have something to do with the fact that I have blood and I'm near the house, and then like sharp objects when cutting something for a stew, or I mean, people call the ambulance all the time. I don't feel like
this app also. I noticed like it has a pinpoint, but then like it gives a little area around it too. So just in case you don't find it right there, maybe it's around you somewhere.
Oh, okay. So the quantum computer random number generator thing is accurate enough to find like blood, but not like so accurate that it gives you the exact
right.
spot.
That's just dude. Our quantum computing isn't quite.
Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. I thought we were more technologically advanced.
Listen,
I apologize.
Listen, quantum physicists are working 80 hours a week, every week, so that teenagers on TikTok can have the best time of their lives with their friends. And that is really what quantum mechanics is all about. At the end of the day, it's not about the goals; it's about the journey.
Absolutely, and I think if you as a high level academic aren't constantly working on something, thinking to yourself, how will the next generation of 13-year-olds accept this and take this? If that's not what you're doing, I say give up already, move over for the people that actually are going to do that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's what I got. That's what I got for my Randonautica journey. Maybe if it's still around, and COVID isn't as bad of a thing, we should do like a live episode of me going out on a Randonautica journey around the Austin area or something, seeing what we can find.
I feel like the intention for blood thing is a little,
I don't know why they chose blood in that particular video. Kind of weird.
Yeah, kind
of weird.
I mean, I feel like there are other better things that you could probably use it for. Again, if it's not bullshit. Yeah,
I would just do money every time,
constantly.
Right?
I don't see why. Yeah, I don't see why you would use it for anything else.
Like, let's say you like are. I'm sorry, we're still talking about this, but like, if you're the government, right, and like you found out this exists, you're basically this is basically Minority Report, right? Like, you could have your cops use it for figure out their intentions and then figure out where murder scenes were at, because you just have to think like murder. Point. And it could be there. Yeah. There's a lot of applications for this.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And why would they maybe that is the point, Dan, that the cabal that rules the world, right? They're slowly releasing things out to us to keep us placated. See, you're not thinking like that. That's what I'm telling you. Your intentions are wrong, Dan.
Bro, you got me, dude.
I know it's a tough life, but once your eyes are opened and you truly see the world for what it is, flat, of course, it's a whole new experience.
Wow. Okay, so you just kind of blew my mind a little bit there. Not gonna lie, I can't wait to see what the next generation of quantum technology will give us next. But anywho, we should probably get to some calls. Before we get to callers, though, we have some more open lines, folks at home. So you should definitely try to call into the show and talk to us. This is a call-in show. This isn't just the Secular Rarity and Dan talk about TikTok trends for 20 minutes show. This is Truth Wanted. So come talk to us. We'd love to talk to you. But we should definitely give a shout out to our patron of the week. So we should put that on the screen right now. There it is. So every single week we give a shout out to our patrons. All of our patrons are super, super awesome, but we always give a special shout out to one every week. And this week's special patron of the week is Will Arnold. So thank you so much, Will Arnold, for donating. That's patreon.com/truthwanted. All the money for that goes into making this show happen every single week. I do not personally receive any of it. I'm a volunteer here at the Atheist Community of Austin, and all the people you see at the end of the show, they're volunteers too. We help make this thing happen. that money goes towards getting lights, getting cameras, microphones, all kinds of stuff that we need to make this show go on. So thank you to everybody that donates on the Truth Wanted Patreon. So with that out of the way, we still have open lines. So we definitely want to talk to you guys whenever you guys want to talk to us, I guess. I don't know if this is some sort of silent treatment going on, but maybe my takes were too hot.
That's what it
on
was.
quantum computing or Bigfoot conferences.
Yeah, we came out too strong.
I refuse to apologize. Just FYI. I stand firm on that. But what would be a conference you wouldn't want to go to?
Ooh. Yeah.
Because I admit I would still go to the Flat Earth one.
Yeah.
Somebody gave it to me, I'd still go.
For sure. And I'd definitely be at the Bigfoot. It's just, which one wouldn't I want to go to? I don't know. Are there like Illuminati conferences?
Are there Illuminati conferences?
Yeah. Do people get together and yell about like triangles and stuff? Like,
I feel like if there are Illuminati conferences, they wouldn't advertise about it because the Illuminati is going to get on to you
guys.
They're
going to find it. Yeah. That's a good point.
So you got to be hush, real secret about it. Maybe they have fake. I probably, you know what? If it was like a QAnon thing.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
that'd be scary.
That one would be rough. Yeah, there's a lot of not relaxed people, it seems, in that environment. They always seem pretty hot. Kind of like your takes so far. I mean, but
yes,
but no, they're up there. They're a whole nother level, man.
Yeah, that would be really scary, especially all the stuff I've seen recently. There was a news story. I think it was New York Times that broke the story initially of somebody but it was somebody originally who posted on Reddit who was talking about how they were a victim of. This is the saddest thing I'll say all day. I can't remember which school shooting it was because that's a thing. But like it was a school shooting because there's been multiple school shootings and different conspiracies on each one. But it was for one of the school shootings, and their son was a student at the school, and their dad. This is the son telling the story. Their dad now believes that their son is a false flag actor.
Yeah.
And thinks that they're in on it and that there's some real grand conspiracy on what happened at the shooting that day. And that just broke my heart reading that. But if somebody that close to the events can be convinced of something completely fake and not remotely rooted in reality, what choice do the people have who aren't super educated on what happens with a lot of laws in this country and a lot of political events in this country and think that there's some sort of grand conspiracy happening on a higher level, like with the election stuff, with everything. It's this is the world we're living in now.
And truly, I mean, it kind of what you said right there is we can't. As silly as Dan and I were, and as fun as it always is to laugh and giggle and stuff, it is a serious thing, and we don't get to choose really what we're convinced of, you know, and it's worth always remembering that it's a human on the other side that believes this and truly is mistaken, and in so where it can cause a lot of freaking harm. And whether that's to that themselves or other people, the issue is that it can perpetuate and it can continue on and on and on. And again, we all just need to remember that they are people, and even if we disagree with them, even if we don't think they have any reason whatsoever to believe what they believe and express, we got to remember that they were convinced, right? They were convinced for some reason, and we got to do our best to try and have fun and get information out there and remind people that, hey, maybe you need to take another look, because it's always worth another look.
This is something I've talked about, and I don't know if everybody always agrees with me on this point, but I don't think beliefs are a choice.
Yeah.
and you echo this too. Like this idea that, oh, I choose to believe something. I think when people say that, they mean that they have their hopes in something being true. But when it comes to actually being convinced of the truth of something, like I am convinced that the world is not flat, right? And you can kind of show me things, but more likely than not, it's not going to convince me of one way or another. I can't choose really to believe that the earth is flat based on everything I know about like physics and satellites and history and all that together. So yeah, when you're talking to somebody too, like when it's frustrating because it's like, oh, why can't you believe this thing? I'm trying to make you believe this thing that I do. Like it's you can't really work with that framework with somebody because that's just not how human beliefs work, in my opinion. And
definitely
that affects how you have conversations with people for sure. But hey, guess what? We got some people who want to talk to us now. So are you ready to talk with them?
Yeah, it looks like we both cooled down a little bit, and we're ready to get it rolling.
The lava is flown from the tops of the volcano, and we are now heading down and into the cooling phases, creating new land masses. And
says you round earther.
Well, I believe in the transformation of geologic processes on Earth, and I understand that's a controversial take, but we're just coming through with hot takes tonight. So let's go ahead and get to our first caller of today. We're going to talk to Ken calling in from Virginia. Ken, you're on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hello, Dan and Secular Rarity.
Hey.
Hello. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. I missed the show on Wednesday, which was my birthday, so I didn't get to have celebration there. Anyway, I called in to talk about my ghost experience.
Yeah.
Experience. All right, this is it. So, Secular Rarity, you get $1 if I'm convinced, and I get $1 if... Wait, how does this work? If you're not convinced or if I'm not convinced?
If we're both convinced, I win.
Okay. Yeah, All right. All right, we're committing to this. So, Ken,
I'm here for it.
There's a lot on the line here.
Yes.
Yes, I know. This happened in the late 70s, right after we moved into our house. Has a central hallway. I think it was in the evening. I was walking down the hallway, and there was a female ghost wearing something like a Victorian dressing gown, walking the other way, walked right through me. I turned around. She was gone. That was it.
Wow. That was it? Was your house around in Victorian times?
No, the house was built in 72, and this was about 78 or 79.
What was she was lost? What do you think was happening there?
Say again?
Do you think she was lost, or do you think there was like some sort of house there before? What's your theory? Do you genuinely believe this is a ghost experience, or do you think this is like something else going on?
Well, having experienced that, I can't say I don't believe.
Okay.
I would have to guess you would say I believe. I've never seen any other ghost or spirits.
Okay.
But I think she was just passing through. Neighborhood rumor said there was a gatehouse for an estate that was there before they tore it down and built my development.
So why do you think you haven't seen or had any other ghost experiences since then? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah.
Well, I am married, so maybe she didn't think I was available.
Oh,
you think she was hitting on you, bro?
Dude.
Okay.
The ghost was trying to slide into your DMs, Ken.
Yeah.
Whoa. Could be.
That's a take. I like that.
I do. Do ghosts have relationships? Is that a thing? Do ghosts
hook up?
I saw the movie The Ghost and Mrs. Muir.
Dude, this ghost was...
And I guess the movie Ghost, right? Gosh, I should have thought about that. Yeah, of course. They like pottery and they want to have a good relationship. Okay. Right. Well, what did it when she passed through you said, what did that feel like? Did it feel like anything? Was there a note? Did you have anything?
There was no feeling to it.
Okay.
No
That's
chill
interesting.
Or anything like that. It's just, it went through me. I turned around and she was gone.
Were you lucid? Was this, what time of the day was this?
Yeah.
I think this was early evening.
Wow. So the sun was still out?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh man,
That was,
okay.
like I said, 40 plus years ago, and
Yeah.
Because this is what I always want to know: if ghosts only come out at night, or is that just the only time that we go looking for them? You know,
Ooh.
that's something I always think about.
possible.
Yeah. I
Well,
heard there was
during the
that
daytime-
magic hour thing in the early morning. I don't know if that has anything to do with ghosts or not.
Too, if it's in the twilight time,
And-
Yeah.
And it
right?
could be during the daylight. They're just too dim to be seen.
So when you had this experience, Ken, I mean, you know what a fish story is, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. Have you
Grew up in a
told
family
this?
of fishermen.
Yeah. Have you told this story a lot to people over the
Not a
years?
whole lot.
But a
Not
good
whole lot.
maybe a dozen.
Now and then in passing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half
Do
a
you-
dozen maybe.
Do you feel like it's possible that what actually occurred was something that was maybe a little bit less fantastic initially, and maybe what it was more of, I mean, was she well defined? Could you really see her details?
No, just kind of misty and blurry.
Do you think maybe it was just some kind of misty, blurry light potentially, and just over the years, as you've told it more and more, she gets more of a shape? You know, maybe at first it kind of looks like a woman in a dress, then it's a Victorian dress, then she had jewels. Does that, you think maybe, or
What I described was what I saw at the time. I don't think the
Okay.
story has grown in the telling.
Okay.
And, as for other possibilities, I will admit that's true, but I will also admit that's boring.
Oh, sure.
I really like the idea of a Victorian girl just like coming back from the dead just to say that you're cute. I think that's great. I would stick with that too.
Yeah.
Does this experience affect the way that you view other parts of the world? Do you think are you a believer in a spirit world now, or anything like that, or is this just a weird thing that happened once that doesn't affect your worldview in any way?
I don't think it affected my worldview in any way. My wife is into a lot of woo-woo stuff, and I go along with her, and she goes along with me to train shows and the like. So,
Well, that's cool. I'm glad the ghost isn't haunting you now out of like jealousy, assuming we're going with the current working theory. But yeah,
right,
Ken, sounds like you had an experience and it was weird, and like that's all I can work with, man. I could just kind of ask you about it and see what you think about it, but I can't take my microscope to the 1970s and really look at that with you. So I'm glad you talked about it with us, though. That's cool.
Well, you're most welcome.
Cool.
I do have a comment about the flat Earth, if you're interested.
Tell me your comments on the flat Earth, Ken.
Well, you've all seen the flat Earth map, which is a polar projection of the globe.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the true flat Earth map would be a similar projection centered on Jerusalem. And you can find a map like that online. And that makes much more sense historically.
Ken, let me break in just a second. I want to clarify. Are you saying you believe in the flat Earth, or are you just speculating?
Speculating.
Okay.
Yeah, and a flat Earth centered on Jerusalem, the edge of the Earth would be in the ocean. And of course, all through the Middle Ages, people talked about ships sailing off the end of the Earth.
Right.
If the Earth is surrounded by an ice wall, they're not going to sail off the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's
That is true.
I'm glad I don't take medieval scholarship's opinion on, worldwide geography and stuff. And I don't know. I've seen people clapping back on this idea that people in the Middle Ages did believe in a flat Earth. I've seen people dispute that recently too, but I couldn't tell you the details on it. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. Ken, thanks so much for calling in on your ghost story. I do appreciate it. And I hope that next time you call, you can give us some more juicy deets on your Victorian tales.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm not convinced yet.
Me
Not
either,
convinced
Ken.
yet.
I'm
So
sorry.
the money's still on the table here. There could be other opportunities.
That's okay.
Let's say a God proposition too.
Okay. You want to
One
open
for
it
God.
up? You're feeling that secure, Dan? Okay, man.
Ante.
Get ready to lose some money.
All right. I hope not, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get to another caller here. I want to talk to Joe calling in from Virginia. Joe, you're live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hey, Dan, what's up? How you doing? How you and Elliot, how are you?
Good.
All
Doing
right,
good, doing good.
Are you Elliot?
Yeah, you can call me that or Secular Rarity.
I'll call you Mr. Rarity. How's that?
I mean, you don't need to be so formal, Joe.
All right, so I'm guessing you guys are probably not fans of the Kalam, so I was just wondering what your opinions or what your problems with it are.
Yeah, depends on which version of the Kalam, I guess. Is there one that you want us to give particular commentary on? Because there's a couple of different versions of this argument.
Oh, I mean, I think there's probably like a generic version. Everything that begins to exist as a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Okay.
I can work with that. Yeah. So, this idea using the language of everything began to exist is the one that's a big sticking point for me. I think in all the premises you can kind of work on, the details there, but that's the biggest sticking point for me. Because using begin there implies that there is some sort of time dimension being involved. And if we're talking about things that like occurred before a time dimension even existing, like as a measured thing, that doesn't really make any sense. And I'm not sure that physicists that talk about things like the Big Bang Theory would say that makes a whole lot of sense either. There's still a lot that we don't know about the origins of the universe, but what we do know depicts a series of events that doesn't match up with the description of any god that I've ever seen as far as this act of creation. And even if it is not a Christian god, if we're just talking about some sort of deity that exists, outside of the human imagination, that might be possible. But if everything that we're seeing lines up with what we expect for a natural worldview takes place, in other words, if what we observe in our day-to-day lives is no different from whether a god would interact with the world or not, then it doesn't count as evidence that a god exists. There's nothing that I've seen, at least, or anything that a physicist has said that this could only happen if a god exists. I don't think that we could even demonstrate that. I'm not sure how we would. If there's a god that wants to communicate with us and tell us exactly how those processes happen, that's cool. But if we're talking about the Christian God said that everything was created in 7 days, and also how that works is out of order compared to what we know about modern science. Now, you don't have to take a creationist worldview. You could say that that's a metaphor, but if we're talking about strict fundamentalism, it just doesn't make sense. It totally falls apart.
Hey, Dan, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I'm not really talking about God. I'm just going through the arguments, through the three premises, like everything that begins to exist as a cause. I mean, do you accept that premise, or do you think that's false?
Well, I mean, anybody who's using the Kalam is arguing for a God, right? Like, I don't know anybody that uses the Kalam that isn't arguing that God is the result of the end result, unless you're proposing one that doesn't involve God.
Well, I just want to go through the three premises to see if those are logical to you, if they work.
Okay, right. But I was asking, you said you're not talking about God, but you are talking about God, right? Like, isn't the Kalam demonstrating God? Otherwise, what's the point? What are we trying to argue for?
Okay. The Kalam gets you to, a deductive reasoning of the cause of everything. So then you deduce, well, if you accept those three premises, then you deduce what are the characteristics of the cause. Then that's generally how the Kalam works.
If I could jump in, Joe, because I think a lot of the things that Dan said, I would echo. I think actually, Dan, you were one of the first people I ever heard talking about agnosticism, which is definitely something that I've really taken on and started to understand. What are we really even talking about a lot of times? And when we say universe in the Kalam. It's, well, what exactly do you mean by the universe? But yeah, I think the idea of really saying when something does or does not begin to exist is a really, really tough thing. And I think because of that shakiness already, it's like, I just throw out the Kalam. But for me, I find the next step much more interesting. Like, sure, just for fun, heck yeah, dude, universe had a cause, Kalam granted. Because the next steps are the ones that I think are the most important. Even if we do come to the understanding that, yeah, everything has a cause, universe has a cause, there was a cause, woo. There's always a naturalistic explanation that seems to fit that whole better. And even if we just say, well, it's something natural we haven't discovered yet, we knew about gravity for a long time, but we didn't know that it was a warping of space-time forever. So there we go. That's what answered all the problems with that before. So if we grant the Kalam, where do we go?
Well, I mean, I don't want you to grant anything. I just want to know, do you accept what? Let's just go through the first premise.
No,
Everything
don't
that
accept.
begins has a cause.
Yeah,
No.
I do not agree. We both do not agree.
On what? Or, I mean, it just seems like seems pretty reasonable to believe, at least for me, to believe that anything.
It is semantically insufficient.
Yes.
To say that everything began to exist. I've read William Lane Craig's argument on what he means by that, and I've talked to other people about it. It still doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what people explicitly mean when they say everything that has began to exist has a cause.
I don't know how we differentiate that. I mean, that's why I'm with Dan. I just don't know where. It just seems like we're arbitrarily putting down a dot and saying, and there it is. And, that's fine if we are agreeing that it's arbitrary. But if this is supposed to be an objective, always there, outside of our feelings about it, then it can't just be arbitrary like that, right?
Well, I mean, like, if you talk about my dog didn't exist 25 years ago, right? Or you didn't exist 100 years ago, right?
Yes.
True. I know that. I don't know how old your dog is.
Yes,
my dog's here.
but your dog and I are the results of recombinations of states of matter.
Right.
Like, we are the result of already existing things just put together in new ways. There's nothing about me and my dog. Your dog and I are both stardust, Joe. We come from the same place in that sense.
The matter, that's the difference between the thing and the stuff that it's made of, right? The stuff that you're made of already existed, but you yourself, you didn't exist, right?
Okay, well, now we got to talk about what you mean by you. Do you mean me as like a conscious entity? Because like we can go some places here.
We're going down some fun identity routes here.
Yeah.
Do you exist? Do you think you exist, Dan?
Do I think I exist? I think I take up space and time. So by that definition, yes. Things that take up space and time exist. I take up space and time, therefore I exist.
At one point, you didn't exist, right?
At one point, the person called Dan was not recognized as a U.S. citizen. I was the parts of matter of other things. Yeah, but you see, that's different from the universe. What's that, Joe?
100 years ago, there was no ObjectivelyDan, right?
There was no ObjectivelyDan. Sadly, there was not. The world was not ready yet.
But now there is, and I'm talking to him, right?
Correct.
At some point, you began to exist.
Yes, I agree. I began to exist because I am a recombination of things that already existed. Do you understand? Right. That is the difference, okay? When we're talking about the universe coming to existence, we don't have that same understanding that we do when we're talking about things that exist within the universe. It's the difference between talking about things within the set and the set itself. Do you see how there's a big difference there?
So, but did the universe begin to exist?
I don't know what that means. I don't know, because everything, when I'm talking about things that begin to exist, I'm talking about things within the universe. I don't know what it means for the universe itself to begin to exist.
Okay, well, I mean, I think both science and philosophy point to the universe having an actual beginning.
I don't think there's physicists that would sign on to or most physicists, most working physicists would sign on to the statement that everything began to exist in the way that we might be talking about it here. No, I don't think so. If you have that statement and people have signed it, I'd love to see it, but I don't know if there's a physics textbook out there that talks about it in the same way that we're talking about it right now.
No, I remember Sean Carroll bringing up very easily, I think 14 different models of where the universe came from, and none of them had anything about anything outside of it. Again, Dan has said this, and he's right. Everything that when we say begin to exist, everything that we're thinking of, everything that we're talking about is recombination of things that are already there. And if we're granting that, if that's where we are, man, that's where we are.
Yeah, I'm an emergent property of the universe, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what that means for the universe itself, though.
Means the universe is a little bit better, Dan.
I guess it's got me in it, so it can't be that good. Anyway, Joe.
Okay, I disagree with you on both points, but that's all right. We can disagree.
Yeah. That's fine, Joe. I don't, and you would have to explain this to me as a theist, Joe, because I don't understand how a theist can hang their hat on the Kalam and still believe in a God like the Christian God, right? Because again, the Christian God, and everything that we have seemed to know about him and everything that's been written about him had nothing to do with everything that we know now about modern physics and about the Big Bang Theory and everything we've come to know through the enterprise of science. How do you personally reconcile that?
Oh, I mean, the Kalam is just a philosophical argument that William Lane Craig's not going to the Christian God or anybody. The argument was over 1,000 years old, so I mean, it's just to get you to a cause of the universe, and then, as Elliot said, how do we deduce the characteristics of this cause? So it's that, how you deduce the characteristics of the cause after you've accepted the premises.
I get it, but Joe, do you call yourself a Christian? I don't want to make presumptions.
I got baptized, but most of my life I was, I never even thought about God. I was pretty much an agnostic most of my life, and never really thought about it. Then I started really trying to examine the arguments and think about.
Was it the Kalam that convinced you, Joe?
Oh no! If you ask me what's my favorite argument, I would go with the argument from contingency. But I think that's the best argument for. To me, it's almost undeniable that contingency argument, at least if there's something that exists necessarily that has to exist. But that's not this argument. But
I gotcha. I guess the reason why we're bringing it up is because I personally, at Secular Rarity, you can tell me if you have, I've never personally met somebody, well, maybe one or two apologists that are really convinced that the cosmological argument is key. But most Christians I talk to don't know about it, and that's not what's convincing them of, a God. If it's a good argument, I wonder why it hasn't been there from the beginning of Christendom.
Yeah,
and it seems to be something that we have to come up with after the fact, and it has to be based on philosophy and not based on science. I'm sorry to say it, but again, I don't think most scientists are going to agree with the facets of the Kalam. I think it's something that philosophers might agree on because their field of work is kind of different when you have to ignore the externalities of what science can bring us. I will admit to you that, there are definitely scientists that would, but I just don't see that the vast majority of scientists would get on that. If they would, that would be something to talk about for sure. But if they wouldn't consider those statements empirically verifiable, then it's not going to be convincing to me personally.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I mean that's you're entitled to your opinion, of course. And I think the Borgu's Blanken film is one thing that says. I know Alexander Blanken said there are no viable models for an eternal universe. So, and I think philosophically the universe must have had a beginning. So this is, and I think I mean there was a big good conversation between William Lane Craig, who was on Capturing Christianity, and this guy named Scott. I can't remember his last name, but it was a pretty interesting conversation. And the guy, he didn't accept the Kalam because he said the universe had come into existence without a cause. So he was denying that premise that the universe needed a cause. So.
I don't go that far necessarily. I'm sure maybe it could be possible, but to be honest with you, I'm not a physicist. I couldn't get into you toe to toe on a lot of the details. Am I slightly knowledgeable because I've had these conversations a lot? Yes, but like honestly, like I don't even have to accept the premises to be true to not really get that it's a viable argument, if that makes sense. Like it's just to me. It just doesn't hold water. I don't know. If all we have to know that a God exists is a philosophical argument, I would say that it's just, I don't know, that's not enough. I can talk about philosophical arguments for things existing all day that may not exist, but
it means that everybody who believed in God before this argument, it means that you're saying they didn't have good justification.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think it could be an addendum to arguments that already existed, but it is curious as to why it's not there from the beginning, right? Like, I don't. Right. Now, actually, Kalam actually goes back to a lot of Muslim scholarship and stuff, which is
Al-Ghazali.
How many people are spending their life? How many people are spending their life thinking about these arguments? Probably, trying to come up with arguments. So it's not like the millions of people. There's probably a few people trying to. Contemplate the universe and existence, and so it's not like you're gonna have everybody saying, "Oh, let me come up with an argument for the beginning."
But if you're saying this is good justification, Joe, then I would say go out there and convince everybody, right?
Yeah, I would say that too. I would say if you think it's good, you have a right to tell other people about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and get the people who believe in God on a more solid grounding. If you think this is a solid argument, then go do that, because I think that's better, right? Wouldn't you want people to actively be thinking about their belief? I mean, would God really want his believers and followers to passively accept him? Why not? Yeah. Why not choose God? Isn't that better?
This isn't really what I would. Yeah, I wanted to go.
I got you, Joe.
We've moved a little.
You got to expect the unexpected on this show, Joe. You got to expect the unexpected.
I think the biggest, if you want to kind of disagree with the Kalam, if you want to say like, okay, like when does a chair begin to exist, or when does a car begin to exist? I think those are like valid arguments. Like who knows when? You can't. You can't really define when.
I think that's kind of what we were saying.
I'm just giving you like some valid arguments to what I would question about the Kalam, but I got you. I think the argument is pretty valid and makes sense to me, but I just wanted to hear your guys' opinion. So thanks for your
time. All right, Joe.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. Thanks for sharing your opinions with us. I do appreciate that conversation. I mean, we've already said it before. I don't feel like we have to say it again. I just don't think Kalam holds up. It's not personally convincing to me. I don't find the premises to be super solid. I think they're vague. When it comes to, okay, even if you accept the premises to be true, I don't know what God means. I don't know if we're talking about a being. Are we talking about a force? Is it a force of nature? Is it something, it's very, very vague. It doesn't really tell me anything. Yeah, for sure. But we have open lines at the moment, folks. So you guys should definitely call in if this is the night. I wanted to do a whole bit about, hey, like, we're going to pray for you, and then we'll get the lines coming in, like we want God to call you in your hearts to call us, but I don't want to like actually trigger people, because I feel like that would that would I wouldn't like that if somebody tried to do that to me.
Little too
But
reminiscent.
it's a little too reminiscent. That kind of stuff I was never into. I think even when I was a kid and I saw people on TV, I was like, that's kind of I don't really vibe with that.
I never got to speak in tongues. I never had a church like that. But
yeah, me neither. But hey, while we have some open lines here, I think we should do a quick promo. What do you say?
let's.
All right, let's get to it.
Yeah, I feel like you and I are on our way to like an escalating war of obnoxiousness to see who can get the best soundbite in each and every week. So now that we're both here, it's in competition.
The Pfizer vaccine and all the other ones are real. You guys should go get it if you haven't already. And I would say, yeah, you can stop watching the show and go get yourself an appointment to do that. I'm okay with that.
I had told you from the very beginning that this was a good idea. And don't you go showing me clips of me saying the opposite thing, because I'm just going to come up with some other bull.
I don't give a about Matt Dillahunty right now. All right, let's forget
No
about.
offense, Matt.
Yeah,
No
no.
offense.
Well, you know what you can do, Matt.
The next time God shows up, ask him why he's a who will show himself to you, but not to me, and then ask him what number I'm thinking of, and call me back.
Listen, these promos, this has changed the meta game here at the Atheist Community of Austin, because now we know that we're under watch and the crew can take us out of context anytime they like. It is a constant threat above my head. And frankly, I will not stand for it. But they're just going to clip that too. So there's nothing I can do about it. So anyway, it's great. I love it. It's a fantastic bit. And I love all the shows. Oh my God, they have a caption at the bottom that says "unlimited power" here.
And they demonstrated that power. They demonstrated that power, you know, and that's why I pray to them. But
that's right. It's happening right now as we speak. I have no control over this show. I'm just a puppet in this machination. It's crazy. But anyway, gosh, we still have some open lines here, and we want to talk to you, the people of this United States or anywhere else. We get a lot of calls from outside of this country, and that's cool too. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of everybody that calls into this show when they're nice.
yeah.
You know, when they want to have a good
and that
conversation.
that was a good conversation, I thought, with Joe. I thought it was cordial. I just think
it was cordial.
You know, you and I were coming from the same spot. There's a soundness problem. It's not the structure of the argument. I think that's probably okay. But maybe if I, became an expert in philosophy once I'm done with my physics career, maybe I'll find the problem. But no, I think there's some semantics we got to work out.
Yes, there's definitely semantics. And also it's just like again, I go back to this appeal, and it's not the most philosophically amazing thing, but like it's just because it's incredulity. I'm appealing to incredulity here. But like, if Jesus did the things he said he did, and Christianity is true, but the main stuff that Christianity that people talk about, then I feel like that should be in the tool set of people to convince people of things, or that real Christians can just do miracles on people at different instances, because the earliest believers of Christianity, according to the Gospels and according to the book of Acts, like, they were doing that stuff. They were healing people. Sometimes they were dying because of the Holy Spirit, because they lied and kept money to themselves and not told people. That's real. Look it up. There's all kinds of stuff that I feel like would change reality and how we view it. But I've never seen a Christian do a miracle. I've never seen it, and it hasn't happened yet. And their beliefs haven't been substantiated in a way that I would be convinced more of theirs than anybody else that has a particular, religious belief or ideology. So I don't know. It's not there for me. So anyway, I don't know what was your response to apologetics? Did you grow up doing apologetics? Is that like in your worldview at all?
I was raised Methodist, and most of the people I was around were much more of the, God makes me happy, and God helps me find my keys, and he's there for me when I feel sad, and that was really about as far I remember one of the first times I really started having that question was when the pastor had up on the nice big screen the Bible verse, and he read like the first line, and it said something kind of sweet, but then like the very next line was like, and then God slaughtered the baby, and I was like, are you gonna read that too? Like, did anybody else just see that up there? Is that the first time like anybody's ever seen? I had never seen a verse like that before. I'd only ever heard the John 3:16s and the love thy neighbor and the don't do the bad. I'd never seen anything of the smashing of the babies on the rocks or the Leviticus. I mean, I'm currently wearing a fabric with 2 different types of threads, and I'm not sure there's anything I can do to repent.
Yeah, that was stuff that was pretty much kept from me too. I mean, if you really think about it, though, even the most like vacation Bible stories are kind of messed up still. Like the David and Goliath story is a story about a man killing another man.
Oh, he murders him.
That's still a thing. Like the Noah's boat thing, like that's killing like a lot of people. So there's still even then there's a lot of violence going on with these stories. But anyway, we have another caller who wants to talk to us now. So we're going to plug ourselves into Daniel, who is calling in from Canada. Daniel, what's going on?
Hey, Dan.
Hello. How's it going?
Pretty good. I once called you like I forget when, a number of months ago. You were hosting a show with Katie Montgomery, and we talked about UFOs and stuff. And I mentioned Arthur C. Clarke and the just saying about significantly advanced technology would look like magic to us and stuff like that.
Right. Yes.
You remember that? I don't know if you remember. It's okay.
I do remember that. Absolutely. No. And I've always liked that quote too, because it's true. Like if I went back in time and I showed some 15th century peasant my phone, they'd be blown away. They'd think I was a wizard. And that's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. And in the meantime, of course, that UFO report has come out from the Pentagon. Did you follow any of that at all?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit back. Basically, they don't know. That's what I got from it.
Yeah.
There's a lot that just they don't know. They are using the term unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, for that, to make it more. I don't know. I don't know if it's PR or if it's to make it more technical or maybe both. But that's what they're using, and they weren't able to explain a lot. So that's kind of what I figured. I think that was my prediction originally. I can't remember what I said, but it doesn't surprise me for sure.
Yeah, to me, it was more like a crack in the door. For decades and decades, the Pentagon has completely denied that they had any interest in UFOs, and now suddenly it's like they had the door completely closed, and it was only through Freedom of Information Act requests that people got information that they were interested in UFOs, that they were lying. And now they've just, opened the door a crack and to say, okay, yeah, there's something there, but we don't know what it is. And I think they're just trying to gradually open that door and reveal more and more. Or if they will reveal more and more, I don't know.
It's definitely historic for exactly those reasons you point out. Like there is a history of them denying, saying, "Oh, we're not interested in this," and like this isn't really a thing. So that's cool that it is. But you gotta wonder how much they do know and what is reasonable to tell people. Obviously, there's a lot of security interests involved with revealing, like, okay, so we got this footage on this secret ship that's out in the sea that it's not supposed to be at doing a military exercise, right? Like, you can't reveal a lot of that kind of information because it's intelligence and it might break, some treaties between countries and things like that. I think a lot of that kind of politics goes into it more than people realize, more than just like, oh, it's because of aliens, But yeah, it's definitely a historic thing.
But I think it's even bigger than that. I think, like, if you think about it, it's it would be a very immense thing to tell the public of the world that if this were true. There's something called the Brookings Report that was done in the 1960s, in 1960, that NASA commissioned, and they asked, what's going to be the impact of the space program. And one of the chapters in this report was what impact would the finding of alien like technology or an alien civilization have on the Earth. And they really said two things. One was that either we'd all come together and have a kumbaya moment and realize we're all humanity, and it might be a good thing, or it might be a terrible thing. It might be much like an advanced civilization coming across a primitive civilization. The primitive civilization is going to be decimated, just like we did to the Native American civilizations across North America.
Oh yeah, I agree with that assessment. I think they're probably spot on there. We would either be all united in a common threat, or it would just cause mass chaos and we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. But it is really interesting to see that, there's definitely some changes in how they're reporting that stuff. It would be historic. And I guess if I was in a position where I knew that these things definitely existed, I would probably want to close the lid too, because that might be a truth that people don't want, or at least shouldn't want, or maybe couldn't handle. Maybe that's the limit for me. We might have found the truth that I don't want on this program, which is crazy.
Yeah. There's a saying in UFO, people say, I want to believe. Yeah. And I always hate that expression because I think, well, maybe sometimes you don't want what you wish for. Sometimes it's not a good thing, to get what you wish for, or how that saying goes.
Yeah.
It could be a terrible thing, I
agree. Now, don't get me wrong. I would want to know. Okay, I want to know. But the American public is out of their mind, okay? Like, we can't even handle regular elections anymore. I don't think if aliens were out there, that's just like... But then again, what would people do realistically, right? Like, maybe they would stop going to church, or maybe they'd go to church more. I don't know. But, like, could anybody really do anything about that? Maybe there'd be like some rebel bands of people building rockets trying to fight the aliens themselves. I don't know.
I think if aliens are making it through space all the way to us, y'all, nothing we've got here is gonna do much for it. But I don't know, man. I think we might still have a group of people that I don't think I don't think it's just clear cut that we'd all band together or all just instantly die. I think there'd probably be a small resistance and they'd stand up, and there'd probably be a group that's like, yes, join the aliens. I think there'd be a petition on petition.org to get Will Smith to gather the boys and make Independence Day like a real thing. I see that happening, and then that would go viral and people would love that. But and Will Smith would be my first choice for the person in that fighter jet.
I think that's a reasonable choice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's trained.
Right. But I hated
that movie.
Oh, why'd you hate it, Daniel?
This is terrible. It's just, we shouldn't look at it like they're going to invade us. We don't know. Like, you're not going to fight them off like that.
Are you a traitor to the human race? Are you trying to feed information to the aliens? Is this a test, Daniel? Are you working for the aliens right now to get a A/B testing going on? Is this marketing for you? What's happening?
I have an alien right with me. No, I mean, and another thing is, there's a reason why the elite of the world wouldn't want this information out, because it could also affect things like energy. It could affect transportation. It could affect if we got some advanced technology from them or something. It could have an enormous effect, an enormous impact on our planet. And I think they have to be really careful. And I think some of them want to save their hides. They're making a lot of money off the petrochemical industry, and I don't think they want some aliens giving us some free energy thing or something. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Listen, Americans are already so bad about human immigrants. Can you imagine alien immigrants, actual alien immigrants into the country? People wouldn't like that. You can't build a space wall,
There's already the dome that covers the Earth, right? Didn't you know that?
Oh yeah, there is the dome, but they're already breaking through the dome if we're able to see them, though.
Oh yeah, they probably have already broken. So I don't know, man. I think I don't think the elite are that connected in the world. Whoever the elite are, I don't know if they're that connected that if we had some real solid proof of aliens coming to hang out with us and watch some Netflix, I don't know that they could actually keep it. I don't know it could actually be kept secret, man.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said elite. Maybe the military, like the military-industrial complex.
It's a lot of people in the military.
Petrochemical industry. What?
That's the thing too, though. There's always those people that are like out there at those UFO conferences that are saying like, yeah, I like worked as a sanitation engineer for NASA, and like I got all the deets on the aliens and stuff. So like we wouldn't be able to tell the real thing from the difference, or real thing from people just playing around either.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it'd be hard.
But anyway, it's an interesting thought experiment, Daniel. I'm glad you brought it to my attention because now I really have to think about it. Would it even be a good idea to say that they're out there if we like really, really knew? Like really, really knew. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's definitely
I don't know either.
Psychological, sociological, energy implications, transportation implications, like you said. Basically everything would change. It would be like a new age for humanity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It really would. But anyway, that's all the time I want to spend on this particular call. Daniel, thanks for calling in and talking to us. And thanks for calling again.
Same with you, Rarity.
Thank you, Dan.
Goodbye.
Thanks. Y'all have a good rest of your night up in the Great White North, Canada.
Do you think if we had evidence, solid proof, the military had the solid proof for the aliens and the ghosts, which one do you think would cause more of an uproar?
Oh, aliens for sure.
Just because of the technology?
Aliens have plasma beams and saucers, if popular media is leading me to believe.
Yeah.
Ghosts are just trying to hit up people in their houses when they least suspect it.
But you don't think that would cause more of a problem? Just knowing that there are all these ghosts?
What are we gonna do about the ghosts? We're gonna call the Ghostbusters? Not real.
Yeah.
It's a movie.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd's still out there, right? Him and Bill Murray could probably suit
Maybe
up.
we don't see the ghosts because the government's already trying to take care of it.
Or the Ghostbusters actually did their job correctly, right? Like they already took care of it for us. They busted them all.
Ghostbusters was a false flag operation to make people think that it wasn't actually based on real events, but it was. And they used the comedic effects of Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and other comedy legends to laugh it off, when in reality it was based on true events. I could see that being a thing.
Seems the most plausible explanation to me.
I think that's the most plausible explanation too.
Yeah.
We should get to our next caller here, though. I want to talk to Kevin. Kevin, who's calling in from Tennessee. Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good. We're talking about a lot of things, Kevin. So ground us back, please.
Yes,
I beg of you.
Okay, so basically, I just wanted to call in, to explain kind of my interpretation of like a cosmology, like a mystic's interpretation of, God and, how things sort of what my view of things are.
Okay, are you a Christian mystic, or are you just a general mystic?
No. No, I am I would say a Hindu kind of mystic a little bit. Okay. I'm not like of I don't like read any of the scriptures or anything like that, but I draw inspiration from many mythic pasts. Pasts and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm down. Tell me about it, Kevin.
Cool. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to first start off with science because I think the Western thought really, you can't really understand the, that perspective unless we have a grounding in science. First off, you were talking about the cosmological, the Kalam and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I I was just sitting there. I'm like, they're missing the point. The thing is that yes, what you were talking about is everything that exists eternally. It's just a reconstruction of different things. But the thing is that everything exists in two states in science, either in a potential or a kinetic state. And I think just kind of
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, unfortunately,
that's true.
My 2.5 decades of physics is failing me. But I mean, maybe everything exists like that.
Like, does dark matter exist in potential and kinetic? Like, I don't know if that applies to like everything that's in the universe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Yeah. So, well, if I'm just kind of going on that, just give me that for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
That
I can do that.
Everything potentially existed in a state of pure potential, but also it exists in a state of kinetic energy as well. But it's all in a eternal mode of being. It's nothing. Huh?
That's where I'm confused. I'm not sure I'm following you there, Kevin.
Okay.
How is everything existing eternally in a potential state, but simultaneously in a kinetic state?
Am I in a potential state or a kinetic state? Like, how do we use these definitions?
Well, it's kind of in a sense of what is it called? The two states. The cat's also the cat is
Schrodinger.
Alive and dead.
Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's sort of in that sort of state, is that we exist in this universe, living our lives through time and stuff like that. But we also exist in an eternal state, where all the stuff that we, now I have to explain this in the mystical part, because that, if you don't have that, then it all messes up.
Okay.
So
I still have qualms with the definitions, but for the sake of making the conversation more fluid, I want to see what else you have to say. So we'll go there.
Okay. So the states between, so there is the pure potential, and then there is the kinetic, but okay. Now this kind of goes into God. God, if we want to imagine this as a field, and this field has many layers to it, okay? And everything is kind of going through these fields, and what they're doing is basically everything that exists in potential is being actualized and diversified into everything, okay?
This seems like it's a lot already. This seems like it's a lot already, and I'm again, we're granting, Dan and I are granting a lot to be here, and it seems like you've added on. Yeah, it seems like you've added on a good bit. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, never. Well, I just I must not be explaining it a lot. Not as well as what I could be, but
that's okay, Kevin.
Yeah.
I mean,
no. Hey, you don't have to go anywhere. Try your best with us. We want to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, we want to understand, especially if it gets us to God.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. So I guess so that has to do with all the dimensions. That this. What these layers of this field is those dimensions. And so so when everything comes from the pure potential into kinetic, and passes through all these fields from one potential to a kinetic, it creates the what what comes to be physicality and all the all matter and everything like that. Okay. And I think that matter has it creates apparatuses that are able to pick up this field. And this field is consciousness. This field is all that sort of stuff like that.
Okay.
And
Now I see where you're getting at.
so
Yes.
Okay.
So now these apparatuses come from being very instinctual to, becoming more able to interact with the environment, and it goes from being very being like very basic, and it comes to being more complex and more able to interact with the field. And I believe that we are that consciousness and these apparatuses are like interacting together.
Yes. Okay. I know what you're talking about now, Kevin.
More, evolved.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about field theories of consciousness, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I'm familiar with field theories of consciousness. Okay.
Help me out a little, Dan. Is it basically saying that there's multiple layers of consciousness?
So there are different ideas within mystic thought about consciousness, right? There are some that say that consciousness is literally the fundamental sort of block to reality, that everything comes from consciousness, and therefore consciousness is either the creator or receiver of reality in some cases, and in this case it's the receiving part of it, right? So from my understanding, basically there are different kinds of fields that we as matter interact with, and our consciousness comes from that. So it's not consciousness strictly coming from matter.
Okay.
Rather, it's consciousness coming from something else, kind of like a radio antenna getting a consciousness from somewhere else. In other words, it's not coming from just bodily processes, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm familiar with this. All right. Here's why I don't believe it. Okay. The reason why I don't believe it is the first thing I make my appeal to is Occam's razor. So Occam's razor tells me about what we typically observe in about consciousness in normal environments and how we understand the world. And field theory just adds an extra layer of complexity to something that we already are having a hard time understanding. And it also creates something, these kinds of categories that can't be empirically demonstrated and reliably acted upon. It's kind of like a just so story. And if I bring up the example of, well, our consciousness can change when we're on drugs, someone who believes in field theory might say, well, that's just affecting the way that you're receiving consciousness from fields and things like that. So it's kind of like this idea. It's like the brain in a vat thing.
You are decoding. You're decoding different parts of that field through changing of consciousness.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like the brain in a vat thing. It's like you can't. There's just no philosophical way to get around worldviews like that, but they're also not empirically demonstrable either in any sense that I'm aware of. So I choose not to believe it until there's some sort of methodology that can really demonstrate the truth of these ideas. Otherwise, I don't find them to be convincing. I think that our consciousness is reflective of different states of the brain, but also just states of matter in general, right? I haven't seen a being that was conscious that also didn't have matter attached to it. And I think it's those combinations of matter that give rise to consciousness. In other words, it's an emergent property. However, that could still be disputed if there's other ways that can get around that. But, it doesn't really matter to me, I guess. It doesn't. I still believe I live in a real world with things interacting with each other in it, I guess. So
yeah, Kevin, are you saying that do you believe that before any living creature was on the earth or in the universe, are you saying consciousness was there before any biotic material whatsoever?
Yes, as it manifested into physicality, it basically went into its constituent parts, which is matter. That's what I would think. And that matter is simply just imbued with varying degrees of that consciousness. And that as that matter, like what causes matter to self-organize,
my best understanding
on the laws of physics.
Yeah. My best understanding with my 28 years of physics that I've been rocking on, thanks to Dan, the Higgs field and the Higgs boson. I always break real difficult stuff down into cartoons. There's essentially a net that runs all over everything ever. And the Higgs boson is the smallest, tiniest, most neutral thing. And that sits on the little net, and then more of them clump together. And then that eventually leads to the warping of space-time. That's the best I've got for it. But you're saying that net is consciousness. That when those things become material, how would we show that? Do you have an idea of what we could do to demonstrate that?
That's a good question. I will have to think about that.
Hey, this show happens every single week, same time, same great place.
That's right,
man.
That's the best answer you can give.
Sure.
I don't know what I could look into.
Sorry for being so, for being so nervous. For one thing, this is a first-time caller.
You were great. So. Kevin, it is okay. There are people who come onto the show who are way more confident than they should be and spew absolute bullshit at miles per hour that I can't even pick up on. So I'm glad that you took your time with it. But, I do want to point out one thing, which is I want you to look into it and come back to us. But talking about quantum states and stuff, okay? When we're talking about Schrodinger's cat, let me say this for anybody who tries to call in with quantum stuff, okay? Oh my goodness. Okay, when we're interpreting Schrodinger's cat, we're not saying that human consciousness is actually affecting reality as we know it. What we mean when we're talking about observation as to whether or not the cat is alive or dead means that when we're observing that type of matter, that part of the process, we have to use things like photons to observe it. So we're actually shooting things at it and seeing it react. Otherwise, we have no way to actually observe it. And in the act of doing that, in the act of shooting photons at something or shooting other kinds of matter towards like quantum particles, then we come up with our observation of where it exists in space. So that's what they're talking about when they're talking about consciousness. It's like I was joking earlier about the Randonautica thing, okay? It's not human beings that actually are manipulating matter in the world. It is the subatomic particles that we are using to make those observations that are affecting things. So it's a very big difference, and it threw me for a loop too. When I was first deconstructing, I called myself a Christian mystic for a while because I thought, whoa, man, consciousness, we don't have this thing figured out. There's a lot of crazy ideas out there. But when I realized when talking about like at least quantum stuff, when that's actually what they mean when they're talking about observers affecting reality, I became a little more disillusioned with these sort of more fanciful ideas of where consciousness comes from. But anyway, Kevin, call back in next time. Great conversation. Thank you for calling in, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you for having me.
Cool beans. We are kind of at the end of the show here. So hey, we are going to go on the Atheist Community Fan Discord, the ACD, the Atheist. Atheist Community Discord is what it's called. So definitely check that out. After the show, Secular Rarity will be there to answer your questions. And if you're not watching this live, hey, you should. It happens every single week, Fridays at 7 p.m. Central. You can come call in and talk to us, and it's really cool. But I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Secular Rarity for being on the show tonight. Secular Rarity, thanks for popping on.
Hey, no problem, man. I really had a great time. I'm a little bit poorer now because I don't know about you, Dan, but were you convinced? Ghosts?
I'm not convinced. So you're gonna have to Venmo that to me.
We'll get the deets. We'll get the deets afterwards in a private. I'll slip into your DMs before that ghost does. But
That
we'll
would be good. There's a lot of ghosts slipping into my DMs these days. It's actually become a
getting
problem.
overloaded. Yeah.
So very good. But Secular Rarity, where can people find you at?
Yeah, I get to hang out at cool places like this and some other great communities. You can see right there. Hit me up on Facebook or go over to YouTube and say hey to me. If you go there and you yell at me about making stuff, I'll probably make more stuff. But if not, then just shout out at me if you need me for something. So I'm always going to be around, and probably next week you'll see me hanging out here and cheering on Dan and whoever the next great guest is. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on tonight. You were a pleasure. And folks, this has been another episode of Truth Wanted.
Hang on, Dan.
Oh?
I think we missed something.
What's that?
There's a wonderful crew we need to shout out.
We'll get there. Secular
Okay. I thought you were ending it. I'm so sorry.
No. We have to promote. Look, you got your promotion time. Now it's time to promote this show.
Yes.
Okay. So there's a couple different ways you can support this wonderful program. One of them is through Patreon, patreon.com/truthwanted. Everybody that donates on there gets a shout out eventually when it happens. So thank you to everybody that donates on there. You guys are awesome. You can also support the show by becoming a member. And you can do that by clicking that join button on the side. You get little cool emoticons with my face on it and all the other Truth Wanted logos. It's really cool, and it shows that you are a supporter. So thank you to everybody who supports through there. There's also a shop. You can check out our AEN merch site. It's tiny.cc/merch ACA. Check that out. It's pretty cool. We got shirts, hoodies, stickers, masks, you name it. We got it. It's there. So thank you to everybody that gets all of our cool swag from that store. You guys are awesome. You can email the show. It's truth@atheist-community.org. And you can follow me on Twitter @ObjectivelyDan. Please leave a review or like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. You guys are really awesome. Everybody that does that. And if you're listening to this on audio, check out the video format sometimes. Sometimes we got little visual gags and stuff. It's kind of cool. But this show can be found on the AEN Podcast Network, which is another channel here on YouTube that you could look at all the other shows as well. Tiny.cc/AEN Podcast. You can find them all on audio format as well through your selected podcast app, whatever you like to use. We'll accommodate you. And now is the time, Secular Rarity, where we can thank the wonderful, fantastic, stupendous, amazing crew that helps make this show happen every single week. Look at that crew.
It's the cats.
We got cats. We got 2 cats on board tonight. The cats are working hard. On this production. We pay our animals all the labor that they do for the show. So don't get it twisted. Okay. They have very good unions, and they get paid more than the volunteers, with volunteers being 0. So, just think about that. Anyway, now is the time where you can give us our words of wisdom for the night before we slip off into the Discord. So what's the words of wisdom? What do you got?
Yeah, the words of wisdom tonight are think hard, and then take a deep breath, go to bed, wake up and think harder. Everything's real weird and everything's real complicated. So keep coming back here and maybe we'll get some truth.
Maybe we'll get some truth if we want it. I
want it.
That's good. Well, thank you again for being on the show, Secular Rarity. And thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. Remember to always keep wanting the truth, and I'll see you next time.
Watch the nonprofits and join the hosts in the live chat. Sundays at 3 p.m. Central between the Atheist Experience and Talk Heathen. Visit tiny.cc/YTNP.